Auspicious salutations. Thanks for tuning in or watching my live reading of esoteric text. Today we are starting the Book of Secrets. Quite an intriguing book. Bought in a hardcover off of Amazon. Comes in a perfect square like this. It's quite a tome. It includes many meditation techniques. It is a comprehensive and practical guide in its own word on the back cover here. Also, I found a $2 bill. That's right, I found a $2 bill in the pages that I will now use as a bookmark. Okay. Chapter 1, The World of Tantra. Some introductory points. First, the world of Vijnan Bhairav Tantra is not intellectual, it is not philosophical. Doctrine is meaningless to it. It is concerned with method, with technique, not with principles at all. The word Tantra, meaning technique, the method, the path. So it is not philosophical. Note this. It is not concerned with intellectual problems and inquiries. It is not concerned with the why of things. It is concerned with the how. Not with what is truth, but how the truth can be attained. Tantra means technique. So this treatise is a scientific one. Science is not concerned with why. Science is concerned with how. That is the basic difference between philosophy and science. Philosophy asks why this existence. Science asks how this existence. The moment you ask the question how, question mark, method, technique become important. Theories become meaningless. Experience becomes the center. Tantra is science. Tantra is not philosophy. To understand philosophy is easy because only your intellect is required. You can understand language, you can understand concept, you can understand philosophy. You need not change, you require no transformation. As you are, you can understand philosophy, but not Tantra. You will need a change rather than mutation. Unless you are different, Tantra cannot be understood, because Tantra is not an intellectual proposition. It is an experience. Unless you are receptive, ready, vulnerable to the experience, it is not going to come to you. Philosophy is concerned with the mind. Your head is enough. Your totality is not required. Tantra needs you in your totality. It is a deeper challenge. You will have to be in it wholly. It is not fragmentary. A different approach, a different attitude, a different mind to receive it is required. Because of this, Devi is asking apparently philosophical questions. Tantra starts with Devi's questions. All the questions can be tackled philosophically. Really, any question can be tackled in two ways. Philosophically or totally. Intellectually or existentially. For example, if someone asks, what is love? You can tackle it intellectually. You can discuss, you can propose new theories, you can argue for a particular hypothesis, you can create a system, a doctrine, and you may not have known love at all. To create a doctrine, experience is not needed. Really, on the contrary, the less you know, the better, because then you can propose a system unhesitatingly. Only a blind man can easily define what light is. Only a blind man can easily define what light is. I kind of like that. When you do not know, you are bold. Ignorance is... When you do not know, you are bold. Ignorance is always bold. Knowledge hesitates. And the more you know, the more you feel that the ground underneath is dissolving, the more you know, the more you feel how ignorant you are. And those who are really wise, they become ignorant. They become as simple as children, or as simple as idiots. The less you know, the better. To be philosophical, to be dogmatic, to be doctrinaire, this is easy. To tackle a problem intellectually is very easy, but to tackle a problem existentially, not just to think about it, but to live it through, to go through it, to allow yourself to be transformed through it, is difficult. That is to know love, one will have to be in love. That is dangerous because you will not remain the same. The experience is going to change you. The moment you enter love, you enter a different person, and when you come out, you will not be able to recognize your old face. It will not belong to you. A discontinuity will have happened. Now there is a gap. The old man is dead, and the new man has come. That is what is known as rebirth, being twice born. Tantra is not philosophical and not existential. So of course, Devi asks questions which appear to be philosophical, but Shiva is not going to answer them that way. So it is better to understand it in the beginning, otherwise you will be puzzled, because Shiva is not going to answer a single question. All the questions that Devi is asking, Shiva is not going to answer at all, and still he answers. And really only he has answered them and no one else, but on a different plane. Devi asks, "What is your reality, my lord?" He is not going to answer it. On the contrary, he will give a technique, and if Devi goes through this technique, she will know. So the answer is roundabout. It is not direct. He is not going to answer, "Who am I?" He will give a technique. Oh, the holidays. Wow. Home for the holidays. What do you know about that? We're all about bringing up consciousness through healing and other truths shared daily with solutions for all. The information is to be shared. Sharing is how it grows. So come in if you want to be part of the solutions in real time. The fuck is this guy talking about? Peter Gosselin? Oh well. Okay. Say it. Where was I? The moment you enter love, you enter a different person, and when you come out, you will not be able to recognize your old face. It will not belong to you. A discontinuity will have happened. Now there is a gap. The old man is dead, and the new man has come. That is what is known as rebirth, being twice born. Tantra is non-philosophical and existential, so of course Devi asks questions which appear. I already read this. Okay. Devi asks, "What is your reality, my lord?" He is not going to answer it. On the contrary, he will give a technique, and if Devi goes through this technique, she will know. So the answer is roundabout. It is not direct. He is not going to answer, "Who am I?" He will give a technique. Do it, and you will know. For Tantra, doing is knowing. And there is no other knowing. Unless you do something, unless you change, unless you have a different perspective to look at, to look with, unless you move in an altogether different dimension than the intellect, there is no answer. Answers can be given. They are all lies. All philosophies are lies. You ask a question and the philosophy gives you an answer. It it satisfies you or doesn't satisfy you. If it satisfies you, you become a convert to the philosophy, but you remain the same. If it doesn't satisfy you, you go on searching for some other philosophy to be converted to, but you remain the same. You are not touched at all. You are not changed. So whether you are a Hindu or Mohammedan or a Christian or a Jain, it makes no difference. The real person behind the facade of a Hindu or Mohammedan or a Christian is the same. Only words different, or clothes. The man who's going to church or to the temple or to the mosque is the same man. Only faces differ, and they are faces which are false. They are masks. They are masks. Behind the masks, you will find the same man, the same anger, the same aggression, the same violence, the same greed, the same lust. Everything the same. Is Mohammedan sexuality different from Hindu sexuality? Seems like it. Is Christian violence different from Hindu violence? Yes, also seems like it. It is the same. So the differences are apparent, only appearing to be different. The reality remains the same, only clothes differ. Tantra is not concerned with your clothes, Tantra is concerned with you. If you ask a question, it shows where you are. It shows also that whatever you are, you cannot see. This is why there is a question. A blind man asks, what is light? A blind man asks, what is light? And philosophy will start answering, what is light? Tantra will know only this. If a man is asking what is light, it shows only that he is blind. Tantra will start operating on the man. Tantras will start operating on the man, changing the man so that he can see. Tantra will not say what is light. Tantra will tell how to attain insight, how to attain seeing, how to attain vision. When the vision is there, the answer will be there. Tantra will not give you the answer. Tantra will give you the technique to obtain the answer. Now, this answer is not going to be intellectual. If you say something about light to a blind man, this is intellectual. This is, if the blind man himself becomes capable of seeing, this is existential. This is what I mean when I say that Tantra is existential. So Shiva is not going to answer Devi's questions. So still he will answer the first thing. The second thing, this is a different type of language. You must know something about it before we enter into it. All the Tantra treatises are dialogues between Shiva and Devi. Devi questions and Shiva answers. All the Tantra treatises start that way. Why? Why this method? It is very significant. It is not dialogue between a teacher and a disciple. It is dialogue between two lovers. And Tantra signifies through it, and a very meaningful thing. The disciple and the master must become deep lovers, so only then can the higher, the beyond be expressed. So, it is a language of love. The disciple must be in an attitude of love. Not only this, because friends can be lovers. Tantra says a disciple moves as receptivity, so the disciple must be in a feminine receptivity. Only then is something possible. You need not be a woman to be a disciple, but you need to be in a feminine attitude of receptivity. When Devi asks, it means the feminine attitude. Why this emphasis on the feminine attitude? Men and women are not physically different. Not only physically different, they are psychologically different. Sex is not only a difference in the body, it is a difference in the psychology also. A feminine mind means receptivity, total receptivity, surrender, love. A disciple needs a feminine psychology, otherwise he will not be able to learn. You can ask, but if you're not open, then you cannot be answered. You can ask a question and still remain closed, then the answer cannot penetrate you. Your doors are closed. You are dead. You are not open. A feminine receptivity means a womb-like receptivity in the inner depths so that you can receive, and not only that, much more is implied. A woman is not only receiving something, the moment she receives it, it becomes part of the body. A child is received. A woman conceives. The moment that there is conception, the child has become part of the feminine body. It is not alien, it is not foreign. It has been absorbed. It's been absorbed. Now the child will live not as something added to the mother, but just as a part, just as the mother. And the child is not only received, the feminine body becomes creative, the child begins to grow. A disciple needs a womb-like receptivity. Whatsoever is received is not to be gathered as dead knowledge. It must grow in you. It must become blood and bones in you. It must become part of you. It must become part now. It must grow. The growth will change you, will transform you, the receiver. That is why Tantra uses this device. Every treatise starts with Devi asking a question and Shiva replying to it. Devi is Shiva's consort, his feminine part. One thing more. Now modern psychology, depth psychology particularly, says that a man is both man and woman. No one is just male, no one is just female. Everyone is bisexual. Both sexes are there. This is a very recent research in the West, but for Tantra, this has been one of the most basic concepts for thousands of years. You must have seen some pictures of Shiva as Ishwar, half man, half woman. Ishwar, half man, half woman. There's no concept like it in the whole history of man. Shiva is depicted as half man, half woman, so Devi is not just a consort, she is Shiva's older half. And unless the disciple becomes the other half of the master, it is impossible to convey the higher teachings, the esoteric methods. When you become one, then there is no doubt. When you are one with the master, so totally one, so deeply one, there is no argument, no logic, no reason. One simply absorbs, one becomes a womb, and then the teachings begins to grow in you and to change you. That is why Tantra is written in love language, something that must also be understood about love language. There are two types of language, logical language and love language. There are basic differences between the two. Logical language is aggressive, argumentative, violent. If I use logical languages, I become aggressive upon your mind. I try to convince you, to convert you, to make a puppet of you. My argument is right and you are wrong. Logical language is egocentric. I am right and you are wrong, so I must prove that I am right and that you are wrong. I'm not concerned with you, I'm concerned with my ego. My ego is always right. Love language is totally different. I'm not concerned with my ego. I'm concerned with you. I'm not concerned to prove some things to strengthen my ego. I'm concerned to help you. It is compassion to help you grow, to help you transform, and help you be reborn. Secondly, logic will always be intellectual. Concepts and principles will be significant. Arguments will be significant. With love language, what is said is not significant. Rather, it is the way it is said. With love language, what is said is not so significant. Rather, it is the way that it is said. The container, the word, is not so important. Content, the message, is more important. It is a heart-to-heart talk, not a mind-to-mind discussion. It's not a debate. It is not communion. It is not a debate. It is a communion. So this is rare. Devi is sitting in the lap of Shiva and asking, and Shiva answers. It is love dialogue, not conflict, as if Shiva is speaking to himself. Why this emphasis on love language? Because if you are in love with your master, then the whole gestalt changes. It becomes different. Then you are not hearing his words, then you are drinking him. The words are irrelevant. Really, the silence between the words becomes more significant. What he is saying may be or it may not be meaningful, but it is his eyes, his gesture, his compassion, his love. That is why Tantra has a fixed device, a structure. Every treatise starts with Devi asking and Shiva answering. No argument is going to be there, no wastage of words. They're very simple statements of fact, telegraphic messages with no view to convince but just to relate. If you encounter Shiva with a question, with a closed mind, he will not answer you in this way. First, your closedness has to be broken. Then he will have to be aggressive. Then your prejudices, then your preconceptions have to be destroyed. Unless you are cleared completely of your past, nothing can be given you. But this is not so with his consort, Devi. With Devi, there is no past. Remember, when you are deeply in love, your mind ceases to be. There is no past, only the present moment becomes everything. When you are in love in the present is the only time. Now is all. No past, no future. So Devi is just open. There is no defense, nothing to be cleared, and nothing to be destroyed. The ground is ready, only a seed has to be dropped. The ground is not only ready, but welcoming, receptive, asking to be impregnated. So all these sayings that are going to discuss will be telegraphic. They are just sutras, but each sutra, each telegraphic message given by Shiva is worth a Veda, worth a Bible, worth a Quran. Each single sentence can become the base of a great scripture. Scriptures are logical. You have to propose, defend, argue. Here there is no argument, just simple statements of love. Thirdly, the very words Vinyan, Bhairav, Tantra mean the technique of going beyond consciousness. Vigyan means consciousness. Bhairav means the state which is beyond consciousness. And Tantra means the method. The method of going beyond consciousness. This is the supreme doctrine without any doctrine. The method of going beyond consciousness. This is the supreme doctrine without any doctrine. We are unconscious, so all the religious teachings are concerned with how to go beyond unconsciousness. How to be conscious. For example, Krishnamurti, Zen, they are all concerned with how to create more consciousness because we are unconscious. So how to be more aware, alert, from unconsciousness, how to move toward consciousness. But Tantra says that this is a duality, unconscious and conscious. If you move from unconscious to consciousness, you are moving from one part of duality to another. Move beyond both. Unless you move beyond both, you can never reach the ultimate. So be neither the unconscious nor the conscious. Just go beyond. Just be. Be neither conscious nor unconscious. Just be. This is going beyond yoga, going beyond Zen, going beyond all teaching. Vijnana means consciousness, and Bhairava is a specific term, a tantra term, for one who has gone beyond. That is why Shiva is known as Bhairava, and Devi is known as a Bhairavi, those who have gone beyond the dualities. In our experience, only love can give a glimpse. That is why love becomes the very basic device to impart tantric wisdom. All you need is love. Love is all you need. In our experience, we can say that only love is something which goes beyond duality. Only love is something which goes beyond duality. When two persons are in love, the deeper they move into it, the less and less they are two, the more and more they become one. And a point comes and a peak is reached when only apparently they are two. Inwardly they are one. Duality is transcended. Only in this sense does Jesus saying that God is love become meaningful, otherwise not. In our experience, love is nearest to God. It is not that God is loving, as Christians go on interpreting that God has a fatherly love for you. Nonsense. God is love is a tantric statement. It means love is the only reality, in our experience which reaches nearest to God, to the divine. Why? Because in love, oneness is felt. Bodies remain two, but something beyond the bodies merges and becomes one. So that's a really good point. I mean, that's like a serious departure from, I guess, my concept of God as being love, as God being so much love, so intensely of love that he sent his only son, became incarnate in Jesus Christ today, Christmas Day, to save us out of an intense love. At the same time, the mystery that he's indicating is obvious in the gospel, because obviously the love of the Father is transcendent. If God is all powerful, in Christ's own words, Father, let this cup pass from me. So, how do you square that? I mean, God doesn't love us like our human parents love us. God is love transcendently. To even say that God loves us, as in that implies a duality in most people's thinking, and I think that's what he's trying to say. I don't know, I shouldn't get too caught up in it and just keep reading. It means love is the only reality in our experience which reaches nearest to God, to the divine. Why? Because in love, oneness is felt. Bodies remain two, but something beyond the bodies merges and becomes one. That is why there is so much hankering after sex. The real hankering is after oneness, but that oneness is not sexual. In sex, two bodies have only a deceptive feeling of becoming one, but they are not one, they are only joined together. But for a single moment, two bodies forget themselves and each other, and a certain physical oneness is felt. The hankering is not bad, but to stop at it is dangerous. This hankering shows a deeper urge to feel oneness. In love, on a higher plane, the inner one merges into the other, and there is a feeling of oneness. Duality dissolves. Only in this non-dual love can we have a glimpse of what is the state of Bhairava. The state of a Bhairava is absolute love with no coming back. From the peak of love, there is no falling back. It is remaining on the peak. We have made Shiva's abode on Kailash. That is simply symbolic. It is the highest peak, the holiest peak. We have made it Shiva's abode. We can go there, but we will have to come down. It cannot be our abode. We can go on a pilgrimage. It is Tirthayatra, a pilgrimage, a journey. We can touch for a single moment the highest peak, and then we will have to come back. In love, this holy pilgrimage happens, but not for all, because almost no one moves beyond sex. So we go on living in the valley, the dark valley. Sometimes someone moves to the peak of love, and then he falls back because it is so dizzying. It is so high, and you are so low, it is so difficult to live there. Oh, hi, Bishop. Just went home for today, and I'm reading the Book of Secrets by Osho. You know, I was reading this section that I think you'll find interesting. Okay. He's saying, okay, when two persons are in love, the deeper they move into it, the less and less they are two, the more and more they become one. And a point comes and a peak is reached when only apparently they are two. Inwardly they are one, and the duality is transcended. Only in this sense does Jesus is saying God is love become meaningful, otherwise not. In our experience, love is nearest to God. It is not that God is loving, as Christians have interpreted, that God has a fatherly love for you. I mean, that's exactly it. It's not a humanly fatherly love, but God has a love for us. God, the all, the absolute, apparently gets some sort of pleasure, if that's even the right word, from bringing us to himself. In that sense, God is Father. One has to come back again into Shiva's abode. He lives there. Okay, Bhairava lives in love. That is his abode. Now, he's not even aware of love, because if you live on Kailash, you will not be aware that it is Kailash. That is, this is a peak. The peak becomes plain. Shiva is not aware of love. We are aware of love because we live in non-love. And because of the contrast, we feel love. Shiva is love. The state of Bhairava means that one has become love, not loving. One has become love. One lives on the peak has become his abode. How to make this highest peak possible, beyond duality, beyond unconsciousness, beyond consciousness, beyond the body, and beyond the soul, beyond the world, beyond the so-called moksha, liberation. How to reach this peak. Technique is Tantra, but Tantra is a pure technique, so it is going to be difficult to understand. First, let us understand the questions what deity is asking. O Shiva, what is your reality? Why this question? You can also ask this question, but it will not carry the same meaning, so try to understand. Let's try to understand why Devi asks, what is your reality? Devi is deep in love. When you are deep in love, for the first time you encounter the inner reality. The Shiva is not the form, then Shiva is not the body. When you are in love, the body of the beloved falls away, disappears, the form is no more, and the formless is revealed. You are facing an abyss. This is why we were so afraid of love. We can face a body, we can face a face, we can face a form, but we are afraid of facing an abyss. We're afraid of facing an abyss. Hello, Gilly. Thanks for joining. If you love someone, if you really love, his body is about to disappear. In some moments of climax, of peak, the form will dissolve. And through the beloved, you will enter the formless. That is why we are afraid. It is falling into a bottomless abyss. So this question is not just simple curiosity. O Shiva, what is your reality? Devi must have fallen in love with the form. Things start that way. She must have loved this man as a man, and now when the love has come of age, when the love has flowered, this man has disappeared. He has become formless. He has become formless. Now he is to be found nowhere. O Shiva, what is your reality? It is a question asked in a very intense love moment. And when questions are raised, they become different according to the mind in which they are asked. So create the situation, the milieu of the question in your mind. Devi must be at a loss. Shiva has disappeared. When love reaches its peak, the lover disappears. Why does this happen? This happens because really everyone is formless. You are not a body. You move as a body. You live as a body, but you are not a body. But you are not a body. When we see someone from the outside, he is a body. Love penetrates within. Then we are not seeing the person from the outside. Love can see a person as the person can see himself from within. Then the form disappears. A Zen monk, Rinzai, attained enlightenment, and the first thing he asked was, where is my body? Where has my body gone? He began to search. He called his disciples and said, go and find out where my body is. I have not lost my body. Or I have lost my body. He has entered the formless. You are also a formless existence, but you know yourself not directly, but from others' eyes. You know through the mirror something while looking in the mirror. Close your eyes and then think. Meditate. If there was no mirror, could you have known your face? If there was no mirror, there would have been no face. You do not have a face. Mirrors give you faces. Think of the world where there are no mirrors. You are alone. No mirror at all. not even others' eyes working as mirrors. You are alone on a lonely island. Nothing can mirror you. Then will you have any face, or will you have any body? You cannot have one. You cannot have one at all. We know ourselves through others, and the others can only know the outer form. This is why we become identified with it. Another Zen mystic, Hyakujo, used to say to his disciples, when you have lost your head, meditating, come immediately to me. When you lose your head, come immediately to me. When you begin to feel there is no head, do not be afraid, come immediately to me. This is the right moment. Now something can be taught to you. With the head, no teaching is possible. The head always comes in between. Devi asks Shiva, "O Shiva, what is your reality? Who are you?" The form has disappeared. Hence the question. In love, you enter the other as himself. It is not answering. You become one, and for the first time you know an abyss, a formless presence. That is why for centuries together, centuries and centuries, we were not making any sculptures, any pictures of Shiva. We were only making a Shiva Linga, a symbol. The Shiva Linga is just a formless form. Shiva Linga is just a formless form. When you love someone, when you enter someone, he becomes just a luminous presence. The Shiva Linga is just a luminous presence, just an aura of light. That is why Devi asks, what is your reality? What is this wonder-filled universe? We know the universe, but we never know it as wonder-filled. Children know, lovers know, sometimes poets, and sometimes madmen. We do not know that the world is wonder-filled. Everything is just repetitive. No wonder, no poetry, no, just flat prose. It doesn't create a song in you, it doesn't create a dance, it doesn't give birth to the poetry inside. The whole universe looks mechanical. Children look at it with wonder-filled eyes. When the eyes are wonder-filled, the universe is wonder-filled. When you are in love, you again become like children. Jesus says, only those who are like children will enter my kingdom of God. Why? Because if the universe is not a wonder, you cannot be religious. The universe can be explained. Then your approach is scientific. The universe is either known or unknown, but that which is unknown can be known any day. It is not unknowable. The universe becomes unknowable mystery only when your eyes are wonder-filled. Devi says, what is this wonder-filled universe? Suddenly there is a jump from a personal question to the very impersonal one. She was asking, what is your reality? And suddenly, what is this wonder-filled universe? When form disappears, your beloved becomes the universe, the formless, the infinite. Suddenly Devi becomes aware that she is not asking a question about Shiva, she is asking a question about the whole universe. Now Shiva has become the whole universe. Now all the stars moving in him, in the whole firmament, and the whole space surrounded by him. Now he is the great engulfing factor, the great encompassing. Karl Jaspers has defined God as the great encompassing. When you enter into love, into a deep, intimate world of love, the person disappears, the form disappears. When the lover becomes just a door to the universe, your curiosity can be a scientific one. Then you have to approach through logic. Then you must not think of the formless. Then be aware of the formless. Then remain content with the form. Science is always concerned with the form. If anything formless is proposed to a scientific mind, he will cut it into form. Unless it takes a form, it is meaningless. First, give it a form, a definite form. Only then does the iniquity start. In love, if there is form, then there is no end to it. Dissolve the form. When things become formless, dizzy, without boundaries, everything entering another, the whole universe becomes a oneness, then only it is wonder-filled. Then only is it a wonder-filled universe. What constitutes seed? Then Devi goes on, from the universe she goes on to ask, what constitutes seed? This formless, wonder-filled universe, from where does it come? From where does it originate? or does it not originate? What is the seed? Who centers the universal wheel? Asked Davy. The wheel goes on moving and moving, the change, this constant flux. But who centers this wheel? And where is the axis? The center, the unmoving center. She doesn't stop for any answer. She goes on asking as if she's not asking anyone, as if she's talking to herself. What is life beyond form pervading forms? How may we enter it fully, above space and time? Name descriptors. Let my doubts be cleared. The emphasis is not on question, but on doubts. If you were asking an intellectual question, you were asking for a definite answer, so that your problem is solved. But Devi says, let my doubts be cleared. She's not really asking about answers, she's asking about for a transformation of her mind, because a doubting mind will remain a doubting mind whatsoever answers are given. Note it, a doubting mind will remain a doubting mind. Answers are irrelevant. If I give you one answer and you should have a doubting mind, you will doubt it. If I give you another answer, you will doubt that also. You have a doubting mind. A doubting mind means you put a question mark to anything, so answers are useless. You ask me, who created the world? And I tell you, A created the world. Then you are about to ask, who created Ah? Clever. So the real problem is not how to answer the question. The real problem is how to change the doubting mind. How to create a mind which is not doubting, or which is trustful. So Devi says, let my doubts be cleared. 2 or 3 things more. When you ask a question, you may be asking many reasons, for many reasons. Okay. Book of Secrets, Chapter 1.